Dun, 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 dun,
Enough fun and games. FBG Live.
Well, good evening. It's Sunday, April the 12th. Hey, we've had an interesting week. We've done a lot of Republic of Texas stuff. I was saturated yesterday by, well, an entire day of, a joint session. That joint session was held at Silver Creek Tap House in McQueeney, Texas. And we talked about a lot of important subjects as far as the Republic of Texas goes, and we're going to get into those. And, quite honestly, I recorded like over 8 hours of audio that needs to be played, or to some extent needs to be played. I'm not too sure how much I'm going to use. I ended up pulling out 3 clips from yesterday's event that we'll go through, but I have a lot of things to cover. The next meeting of the Republic of Texas will be held in the VFW at Tomball, Texas. That's just a little bit south of, Austin. No, Houston. I got that one totally wrong. I know there's a difference between Houston and Austin. There's a big difference. And that probably brings me into corrections. I said a few things wrong that I want to correct on the air. And I think I'm going to be doing that as long as I keep making mistakes about, people and things. And I want to keep the record straight to make sure that I get the truth out there. That's why I like recordings of other people saying stuff, because, I can't get them wrong if they actually said it. Well, one thing that I did get wrong last week, Tom O'Halloran told me that I got the website for the Republic of Texas incorrect. And I can totally believe that. I haven't listened to the archive to check that out, but the actual website for the Republic of Texas is thetexasrepublic.com. So you can go there and you can find out all the information. And, we're going to reference that quite a few times through the show, because there's some interesting things happening. And I want to, educate you, or at least show you where the information is. Another point on Tom, I really wanted to support him on some of his endeavors. He actually has an email package that he's made available to residents of Texas, or actually anybody, Texians. Of course they'll appeal to Texians. It's called Texians.net. You can go over there and you can buy, Steve at Texians.net. I don't have that email account. If you wanted to contact me, you can contact me at fbglive@gmail.com. FBG Live is actually, my production company. And so we have that as a general email box. You just put something to that and we'll get it. Otherwise, you can contact me at steve@thetexasrepublic.com. Now, another thing that I seem to have gotten wrong, and man, it must have been just like, I don't know how the heck I did it, but there's this guy, his name is Daniel Miller, and he was actually the first president of the Republic of Texas. This happened back in, where's my notes, 2005, maybe it was actually pre-2005. When Daniel Miller was the president of the Republic of Texas, and then there was Larry McDaniel, Larry Hughes, Jerry Lahr, Richard Perkins, and John Jarnicki currently. Well, I confused Mr. Miller. Daniel Miller has a website out there, and he is working to try to bring about Texas independence. His website is texnat.org. Now, it's a little bit different than the Republic of Texas because, it's a 501c3 corporate entity that's working to manipulate and modify the existing parameters which we live under, the corporate nation. But I confused him. With this guy named Richard Mclaren, who, again, he's from the 90s, And he had a Republic of Texas. And, you know, all these things have some little touch points, and somehow I flipped the two. So my apologies go out to Daniel Miller. I don't want to be calling him Richard Mclaren. Richard Mclaren, I don't want to call Daniel Miller. I don't want to call anybody but their actual name. We actually will get a little bit into the Richard Mclaren stuff, because I'm always trying to find out, you know, real information on what happened. You can go out to the internet and do searches on Richard Mclaren and Republic of Texas and find stuff about 94, 97, and, you know. But yesterday, on April 11th, I had a rare pleasure in hearing some of the goings on of what happened in the 90s when Richard Mclaren was going rogue, and how did the other Republic of Texas people manage that? I'll be playing you that clip, but I need to get through some of the, you know, station keeping stuff. And I also wanted to talk a little bit later about this letter that it's not a letter. It's actually an article from the Star Telegram. Now, this article is, well, the guy had an angle from the get-go. Something had him off, and he probably, you know, just wanted to write something nasty or something like that. I can see it in his words. But he did have a few really good points, and I wanted to go through those. His points being probably lack of information or perceived realities. We'll get into that towards the end of the show. The name of this article, you might have read it, you know, it's called Separatists' Idea of Free Texas Doesn't Sound Very Free. And it was written by the Star Telegram. The Star Telegram is some paper out of, I believe it's Dallas, and we will get into that. But I want to, oh God, no, can't go there yet. We really need to keep on the business of the day, or, hey, let's just go ahead and bounce back to Mclaren, because I think we need to chew this over. So hang in there. I'm going to go with clip one, which is, what do I say what it is? Have a listen. We'll talk about it afterwards. And, of course, push that button. Huh? Does that help at all? Oh, turn the knob, Steve. Turn the knob.
Definitely got to forgive me for this, but it seems like on a lot of our written stories, the articles always and invariably are going to mention the McLaren incident. And I'm assuming that's because it's sexy. It sells better. Do we have, that I haven't seen yet, an official press release to the statement that prior to that engagement, he had already been ousted, impeached from office, and we detached from him, so that that can be something that's written, and that we can all go on the website, and as those things are, you know, copied on our website, we can hyperlink his name to our press release.
It's probably not a bad idea to put something like that on the website. It has been mentioned in several interviews, but it's, from my experience and what I've seen over the years, something like that will always be brought up. I don't care if it's 100 years from now. It will be brought up because it's a negative. And they always try to bring up the negative. So it's just a matter of fact that it's something that will happen. Secretary, take order.
I don't know, I can't tell you exactly how long ago it's been, but I have correspondence from Richard Mclaren. He is still representing himself as the Secretary of State of the Republic of Texas. So that's a good idea to put that on there. Mr. Brown is one of the few here that can tell you that whole story. He was here when it happened. They impeached him, already withdrawn from him. Everything of 6 months before the incident, and
We had a
grand
jury that indicted him, and then we had a jury trial, took his citizenship away.
Yeah.
And put a arrest warrant out, they wouldn't give him to it.
So that can all be put on our website, and should be there, that's not allowed to run like that, but I can't do anything about him. He's in federal penitentiary. He still generates documents as the Secretary of State of the Republic of Texas. So
He's still filing documents and options, but the more we put his name out there, the more questions going to come. Most people don't know about that. They don't even know what the paper's talking about. Especially the younger people. Who's this guy?
a correction needs to be done, and that needs to be posted so that the whole world knows, because if his name doesn't come up, they know that you took action against that. That was before my time. I think it started from 99, and that happened in 96, wasn't it?
97.
97, okay. So I didn't come along for 2 years after that. I didn't know.
Yeah.
But, and I don't know him personally, but I've got correspondence from him. He's written me, and he likes me as the Secretary of State of the Republic of Texas, but he represents himself as the Secretary of State of the Republic of Texas. So that can't be. So. But I think that needs to be documented somewhere, just like Mr. Brown said, that's a good idea. And if anybody wants to know about him, they can go check him out. This is what happened.
He had the Commonwealth Court, which was always met in Arlington. He moved it to Lubbock for his case. But he ended up, 250 citizens showed up in Lubbock. Kicked him out again.
That's a very good point. That Ed is, Vice President Brown is more familiar with that. Ed, if you could write something up to give to Tom to put on there, a disclaimer.
Declaration of disassociation.
Yeah, something like that. I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, a lot of statements were made, and there, you know, a couple ones were that happened a long time ago, and you know, people don't know about that. And if they want to go look it up, you know, they're fine to go do that. You know, I've done it on several occasions. I've kind of been following the Republic of Texas for a while. I've gotten a few people to talk to me about what it was like back in the day, and you know, what was all the shenanigans. See, the shenanigans with Richard Mclaren, and I don't really want to sidetrack too much, but it's important to talk about this. It just doesn't go away. Richard Mclaren wasn't operating in, well, the capacity of the Republic of Texas. They had a grand jury trial, and they indicted him, and then they went ahead and they had a common law court, and they took away his citizenship. They were in the active pursuit for going after him for his nefarious deeds of creating paper warrior, fraud, whatever. The nuts and bolts of the story are still coming clear to me. I don't know. I know that there was some kind of a standoff over at Fort Davis, and, you know, it was in the mountains and yada, yada. Bunch of bad stuff, and we'll continue to talk about it. Probably not today. Probably not today. You know, there's a couple interesting points that happened during the meeting. President Jarnicki, that was part of his address that was dragged to the forefront. He was talking about, he was talking about press and how the press were taking this whole incident. And his view is, you know, of course, in that last clip, he said that, well, they'll always talk about it. It's something they want to talk about. Well, it is associated to the Republic of Texas. He was sort of the Republic of Texas at that time. The Republic of Texas that exists today at thetexasrepublic.com. Well, that one's truly founded in 2005. And like I was saying, in the presidential lineage, there were two presidents that wasn't actually in the standing Congress. I believe the word is provisional. That was Daniel Miller and Larry McDaniels. Now, RT really, technically, I could say, didn't start until 2005 because the Republic of Texas didn't exist until they came out of abatement and went ahead and started populating the House, the Senate. They got a president, Secretary of State, the whole deal, right? They started representing. They went ahead and opened the Congress back up and started making changes to the Constitution, right, to get rid of some stuff that really needed to be out of there, giving women the right to vote and, I believe to allow blacks to vote. So as we deal with that, some questions come up. And at some later date, I'm going to go through and we'll dig through the Texas Constitution and we'll point out the changes that were made in 2007, the amended Constitution. There's a lot of talk right now about, amending the Constitution versus actually just rewriting the thing because as last week we alluded to, there is a Constitution, God, what was it called again? Constitution, Revision Committee that was formed, to look into the Constitution and find out, what needs to be changed and how do we go about that? If you're interested in, and you're part of the Republic of Texas or want to be a part of the Republic of Texas, you can go to thetexasrepublic.com. Want to be a member, click on one link for forms and that other stuff. It'll give you a form to declare that you're a resident of Texas, and there you go, man. Do you qualify? Cool. Okay, it's really kind of simple. You just have to be a resident of Texas. You don't have to have blonde hair, white hair. You don't have to be this or that. You just are. Are you living in Texas? Have you been living the required amount of time? And I'm just kind of like going off again. But the writ of elections that I was trying to talk about were put forth by John Jarnicki. Now, a writ of election is actually because somebody wants to take a position within the Republic of Texas. Now, this position could be in the judicial side of the House or the executive side of the House. It could be part of the, did I say the House? It's either the judicial, executive, or the House. The House consists of the Senate and the representatives. Each representative will hold office for a single year to be reelected the next year. Senators actually run 3 years. And I believe judges are the same, and I believe the president, but I might be wrong. I'll get my facts straight and get back to you, but I wanted to talk to you about the writ of elections, and we'll deal with the facts on those issues later. So the writs are set for April 27th. You can check the Texas Republic Radio website for more information. Currently, I haven't seen it posted, but, I haven't checked for a while either. They will include House representatives for, if you want to be a representative, this is your time. There are people that are running for Brazos County, Milam County, and Fort Bend. There's also a senator running for District 7. You should check the website if you're interested in being part of the Republic of Texas, running or being represented. Why would I want to do that? Might be something that you say to yourself. And I just go back to, the Republic of Texas is all about freedom and independence and, restoring a republic. The United States hasn't been a republic for a long time. We've been a corporate nation. And there's a lot of ways to describe the United States. There's a lot of atrocities that were, handled out to Texans, and they did try to get out of the United States at one time, but of course the United States said, no. I don't think we want to let you out. We'll tell you that story a little bit later. Let's see. We're moving on to the second clip. Oh, God. I really liked this clip. And I really, really hope that I'm able to increase the audio performance next time. We did do this. This entire show was at an incredible place. Let me just go there real quick before I play this other clip. So there's this guy. He's in McQueenie, Texas. His name's Ron Avery. He has this wonderful, wonderful building called the Silver Eagle Tap House. And he let the Republic of Texas, hold a session there. And I'm telling you guys, this has this nice wooden walkway leading up to the building, and he's got the interior all decked out. He's a true... God, I don't want to use the word patriot. Sure, he's kind of got patriot stripes on him. He believes in liberty and freedom, and it's you can see it on the walls. From the story that I got, Ron Avery had the tap house opened until recently when he came into, and recently is probably in the late O's, probably 08 or something like that. I don't know that whole story, but I do want to tell you a little bit about it, about this wonderful little place that existed for a blip in time. All the stuff on his walls was incredible. It was an incredible educational type experience. And if you actually lived in McQueenie at that time and were, had the pleasure of going there, man, I'd go there all the time. I don't need to be spending money going out to bars and drinking beers, but you bring a friend into an establishment like that and you have all the conversations that you can have. You want to talk about Constitution, you want to talk about this and that, and he was doing really good. But the government came in, it steps in. That's the world we live in, folks. It steps in and says you need regulations. The Republic of Texas is actually more about a government that's non-intrusive, a localized government, a bottoms-up government. And I just went into a rant when I'm supposed to be playing a clip, huh? But, some things need to be talked about, guys. Here it comes. What next is what I like to call this one. What next? The entire meeting was kind of business as usual until late in the afternoon. I mean, there was a lot done, don't get me wrong. But the energy level really didn't hit peak until around 3 o'clock. Have a listen.
You do. It's time. I don't know what's holding you back, but you've got my support, and the Secretary of State, we got an ambassador, we got the rest of the International Committee. It's time. We've got a sharp group of people, and we're not going anywhere fast. And this raid was a God's gift to us. So it's time to use it. And to your question, you're right. What do I need to do next? That's what we need to do. Put the raid together as a complaint and file it. And use the sharp minds we've got. I mean, just reading your press releases alone tells me you can handle dealing with anybody at any level out there. So let's do it. It's time, guys. If anybody disagrees, throw something at me, but I don't think anybody disagrees. I think it's time to wake up. And you ain't throwing those cigarettes till we understand. All right, so I'm done. I don't like this damn microphone anyway, but please, let's do what everybody suggested. Everybody's thinking it. And we've got the sharp minds. Let's do it. And you, Mr. Secretary, with this gentleman and the rest of that committee, I have all the faith in the world in you guys.
You're in line, Mr. Secretary.
It gets a little heated, huh?
Senator Wagner asked for 10 seconds, and I'm going to give him 10 seconds.
10 seconds. There are 177 nations that are not involved with the corporate world. Why can't we go appeal to them for recognition immediately?
Actually, there's only 5 that are no longer. I think it's good.
Okay, I'm going to take that as a rhetorical question, and I'm going to address what I think Representative Fowler's question was. Seemed to be related to what Senator Wilson wanted to get started here. And the question is what the hell does that have to do with us moving on? Well, I think at the last meeting, we agreed that the 1836 Constitution for the Republic of Texas is a copy of the U.S. Constitution, okay? And we know where that's got us, okay? So, for us to go forward, assuming that Constitution is going to work for us, we're falling into the same doggone trap, all right?
The Constitution
So wait a minute, sir, I'm speaking now, and I didn't interrupt you.
All right? And so, we agree that we want a constitution that is of, by, and for the people, truly of the people. Okay? And so we want to get started on that because it takes a long time to go through the process. And we've got to be ready whenever the international court says that, hey, we recognize you, Republic of Texas. Are you ready to govern? Well, hell no. The only thing we've spent our time on is a memorial and getting our case before them, but we're not doing anything else. So we've got to get on with this Constitution revision. I don't think is there anybody here that wants to go forward on the 1836 Constitution? I see 2 hands raised.
I have a question. I haven't read it, so I can't even answer the question.
I say it's a good foundation, and if we wait around till we write a new one, we're going to be too late.
I'm not saying we wait around to get things in place. I'm saying we move forward with trying to get this. You've got the 1836 Constitution that's in place. Do we want to go on and govern on that basis?
Short term, fine. We've got everything in place to go right now, and the rate is articulate.
I have to agree. If we keep waiting around till we have everything perfect, it's like waiting at home till all the lights are green before you go to work. It's never going to happen. If we take action on what I think Doc is referring to as an imperfect argument, at least we're making headway. We can adjust it. If something doesn't work, we can adjust and move on. But to wait until we get a perfect Constitution.
Go ahead.
I want us to not be dead by the time we get free in Texas.
The Constitution is not the problem in the United States of America. The problem is the people who represent the United Kingdom and swore allegiance to them to do whatever they could to take this country to socialism.
Supposedly, that Constitution was written of, by, and for the people to protect the people from the government. It did not work. Who took it away from it?
So what we need to do is take the power from the people who stole the power of the Constitution, and that's the attorneys and the allegiance.
No, I disagree with you. If you listen to what Mr. Wilson said up here, he said that Constitution didn't have those protections in it. It did not have those protections in it. And that's what we're going to fall into the same damn trap.
Amend the 36 Constitution to take care of those problems.
The amendment process will take as long, but it's still not written by the people. It was written by somebody who drafted a copy of the U.S. Constitution. It's not of, by, and for the people.
Tom Bailey, Chief Justice, Missouri County. On the Republic of Texas radio, I listened to the first one, and the highlight that he pulled out was what I questioned at our last meeting. The international, why are we going to them? And that's going to constantly plague us until we get a well-defined statement.
Oh, yeah. Will constantly plague you. But, you know, the conversation wasn't necessarily, bad. And I don't think everybody understood what was going on. I knew the question was kind of, okay, so yeah, we do need to address the Constitution. And I'm good with that. I see that as a necessary thing, especially after having a few discussions of what that actually entailed. You know, the Constitutional Revision Committee will look at doing that. Now, the process within the Republic of Texas will take you 2 years if you get it right. What you're going to need to do is have it go through the House and have everybody agree, well, this is the right thing to do. then it sits. Then the next house needs to come in, and they have to say, okay, let's do it. So there are checks and balances, right? So you can sit there and have a bunch of reps get together, say, let's take apart the Constitution next year. They're out. They're out. And the next ones don't want to do it. Now, what you're running on currently is the 1836. It's a copy of the Constitution as amended 2007, right? And it is a legal framework. Well, it's a framework for governing, right? Now, I'm sure you want to add a few words in here or there, take out a few loopholes. They did, they did not write a perfect document in the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States was not the first time that was done in the world. So Texas has one that they got from the guy that did the one for Mexico who copied the United States. Okay, so yes, Bruce Bullock, the Speaker of the House, was totally correct when he made the statement that is not of and by and for the people. That was designed in 1836. It doesn't take into account any safeguards that need to be put in place for, let's say what happened to the United States, right? What happened to the Republic of the United States? Do you want to tell me the story? Do you want me to tell you the story? Because the story isn't going to be told right here. We can go through that. But I need to keep it on the Republic of Texas. So we could go forward and, start on the 1836 Constitution as amended in 2007. Meanwhile, what are we doing on the international front? I think that was the big kicker. It's like, what are we sitting around here getting our ducks in a row? How many ducks need to be gotten in a row? Earlier on in the entire event, Ed Branham, right? He sat there and said, he's the vice president, Ed Branham. He really threw out an invitation to join the international discussion. All you'd need to do that is send him an email, tell him that you want to be involved in, the discussion and the creation. And, what is the discussion? When are we going? What is the process? Now, the process, I learned a little bit more, and I don't even know if I even learned anything. But first, I'm going to give you Ed Branham's email address. You can find it all over the website, by the way, so you don't even have to write it down. Just go to the Republic of Texas, click on, contact us, look around. His email address is reptx@att.net. That's reptx@att.net. And now that I look at that, man, this is going to be one of my open corrections for next week, because I believe he had a number in there, and I think it was 77. And so I'll work on getting that correction up to you. So please just go to the website, because I'm not going through the web page. I want to cover a little bit of financing before we get to the end of this thing, because, the end comes really quickly, especially when you think you got all the time in the world. The Republic of Texas has been working to get a better communications venue online for quite some time now. I'd probably guess about a year. And they've gone through all sorts of different things. One of the shortcomings of the previous way that they communicated was it was based on an old-fashioned phone conference bridge. Conference bridges have a lot of shortcomings, one of which is trying to get everybody to speak at their appointed time and having somebody monitor the whole thing. And, they work pretty good. Conference bridges have been around for, decades. And, the thought was that we need to grow up, get better. We needed to move into more groupware. Now, groupware would be video and audio, and the ability to share documents and co-author documents together. Now, the Republic of Texas has gone through quite a few different systems, and this meeting that occurred on April 11th, they picked Zoom. So Zoom, Zoom, will be the conferencing software. Now, what it allows you to do is log in via the internet, and you can sit there and talk to people and see each other's shiny mugs, or they can shut off the camera because they're ugly mugs or something like that. And it's actually very affordable, but the Republic of Texas was blessed by the Katz family this time. They felt that it's already been a blessing in their house, and they wanted to fund it for the rest of the 2015 season, or the 2015 season. So that's pretty awesome. I love it like that, because we got to support things that are good. Now, I'm not saying Zoom is the answer, right? I look forward to being wrong, honestly. I think that a lot of those softwares are hard to deal with, but man, I don't know everything. So we'll see. You will be able to check that stuff out yourself if you're, part of the Republic of Texas and you want to contact Ed Branham. Just go to the website, thetexasrepublic.com. You can find his contact information somewhere there, because I only have a very poor written note to tell you to go there. They will be using Zoom on it, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to try to do the same thing. Unfortunately, it doesn't support Linux, so you will have to be running Windows or Mac, and that's currently not my operation. I'm kind of, off to the side. Got another update on funding, and funding's very crucial. And I wanted to get into this a little bit deeper, especially for the Republic of Texas. Currently, it runs on donations. It's a government that exists in occupied territories. Banking is tough, right? Because you have to declare something, declare this, declare that. And as last week we went over this whole issue with the Douala funding, the LLC and blah, 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 submitted to Douala, and they turned it down. Well, hey, sounds like it's back on track. So the Republic of Texas will be able to, accept donations on the website. Is that a big deal? Well, one thing that I've figured out is there's a lot of people that are looking for freedom and independence here in Texas. There's a lot of groups that are looking for freedom and independence in Texas. I do know that, I can probably list 3 of them right here, and I won't, because I do that way too much. But the Douala funding, we should have it up next week. Money is going to be important. Very important. That conversation that we just heard in the last clip where the guy says, come on, what's next? What's next? We're going to spend 2 years trying to rewrite a constitution, move forward. So, of course, Speaker of the House, Bruce Bullock, right, said they can be done in parallel. And I think that they can, and I think he thinks they can. What's holding us back? That's the big question. In the past, I was told that a big holdback was, what were they called? They were complaints, United Nations complaints, international, whatever. There's a form in there. It's a complaint on a human rights abuse. You go to forums and so forth, you can pick a complaint. But then Ray actually brought up something that I hadn't heard before, and he called it a memorial. And it's not like, a memorial, and I couldn't pull the clip, Ray, so maybe we'll pull it up next week. Actually, I know we will. I'm going to try to get a better copy of the audio. I know a couple people that have it, so I'll tap them on the shoulder. But this thing called a memorial is allegedly a statement of who you are and what your rights are individually, and I believe what has been infringed on you. This is a document that you bring to the United Nations, or you should bring thousands and millions of them, or maybe 2, or maybe they don't. I don't know. I don't know what is stopping it. But a memorial, one way, human rights complaint form, another way. What do we need to move forward? In the end, money. one of the people, and I can't remember who, said if we pull the trigger, there goes $250,000. Is that a lot of money? Who does that $250,000 go to? Is that travel expenses for, the delegation that's going to go over to UN land and, go there and sit down and hobnob and talk, stuff and things and say, yeah, Texas, you're free. Go about your business. We don't have to get into the argument of, is that conversation actually going to, bring freedom? You never know unless you try. I can do hours and hours and hours of Ray Cannon citing different case studies where freedom, independence, and justice was served through the international courts. So I'll go with that, right? What's holding us back? That's something that we need to get to, because the only thing that we really can do is, keep pushing ahead and keep everything on track. Little discussions like we had, at 3:30 in the middle of the afternoon on April 11th were wonderful for that. And I'm sure somebody out there knows the answer to what's holding us back, but I'm going to get ready to move on to something that I really wanted to address way before the meeting. Now, so there's this guy, right? And he describes himself as a homegrown Fort Worth guy who started covering high school. His name's Bud Kennedy. Now, he writes this little piece over at the Star Telegram. And he starts off, the president of the Republic of Texas has been awful busy lately. 25 interviews a week. It's hard to get work done, says John Jarnicki. That's not how John says, but that's how Steve says John Jarnicki talks, but whatever. And, he goes on. He's a contractor, and he claims the Texas didn't join the union, and okay, whatever. He makes a couple little stabs and, pokes a little bit of fun, and, he mocks John a couple times, and it's cute. And, I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't understand. Maybe he has a dog in another game, because I see a couple cruxes to what might have got under his gut. And, he takes things out of, context a little bit. And he's correct in some little ways, right? But it definitely is out of context, and it's not how a republic operates. So the likelihood of this individual ever hearing this radio show is very small. He's done with this. He's wrote his piece, and he's moved on. He goes on to say, our motto is one nation under one God. And then he says, John Jarnicki said that. And then he quotes him again. He says, if you're a Muslim or whatever, then you're not going to agree with us. The border's that way. Okay. Two things there. A republic, and the Republic of Texas does not have that requirement in the Constitution. It doesn't say there's no Muslims allowed. Now, I would agree with him that the majority of the people in the Republic of Texas are Christians, and their values are Christian values. But it's not an exclusive nation of all Christians. There aren't only Christians that actually occupy, the Republic of Texas, that have declared themselves to be Texians or whatever. I'm one of those one of those people. I don't call myself a Christian, so I'm not in their group. But I've lived in a Christian nation, and I don't know if you call the United States of America a Christian nation. Most people don't. But I did find most people identified themselves as being Christian. So that's just part of what that's a part of what you deal with, People have their opinions on whatever religious beliefs. But the Constitution does not say if you're a Muslim, if you're a Hindu, it can't say that. And it doesn't. But even if it did, that's up to the people in there. And I even went down the rabbit trail in my head to say, would a bunch of Christians write a document to say keep every other religion out? well, man, would that even be allowed in their religion? Because, I don't even know that you could do that, right? What if you're a Christian and you have a son that doesn't want to be a Christian? Then you're going to kick him out of Texas? Well, I don't think that that's going to go on. So I do feel that he's being a little bit sensitive towards that way. He's definitely got John, he's got John misquoted. And I think one of those things is, he's overly sensitive or something like that. And he goes on to quote John, I'm going to estimate 20% of all people won't leave. And we're not going to have welfare and handouts and all these giveaway deals. And I'll clap when you say, yeah. Go away, welfare and handouts, because honestly, folks, the next clip is going to point this out an awful lot, and I believe I left the next segment in. We've been programmed. We've been, there's a better word for it, conditioned for our environment. We've been trained for all this stuff, so we react one specific way. Handouts, you go, well, we want people to take care of people. People should be good to people. Well, yeah, for sure, and they are. Let's take yesterday's example. The Katz family saw a need, and they filled it. Isn't that wonderful? When the government goes away, people will step in. Organizations will step in. People would be nicer to their friends, their neighbors. They'll know that they're the ones that have their back. They don't look to Big Brother to sit there and say, oh, hey, Mr. Government, I had a problem with this person, or I don't have any money. Well, go talk to your neighbor, your friends. I don't have any friends, and my family don't talk to me. It creates an interesting society, but it does offer us a lot of issues as we come in. A lot of people are older and they want, Social Security and, everything that they paid into the corporate U.S. system that they believe they're going to get out. Believe is kind of a key word in there. I hope they get it out. Actually, I hope they get free. I hope Texas gets free. That's kind of important to me. I would like to see freedom and liberty in my lifetime. And I'm not really talking about freedom and liberty from, understanding the system and being able to withdraw from all my agreements that I've gotten into. Now, the next clip will be from Paul Andrews. He's actually a Supreme Court justice. I believe that's his title, or we'll get that straight here in a minute. But he understands the corporate U.S. system, right, and all the layers that they get you to, entrap yourself. And you can do this, and you can do that, and you can do this, and, everybody's going to, wow. But I want a free country. I want a place that the government listens to me. And am I dreaming, folks? Before I move on to my closing clip, we'll talk maybe a little bit more after that closing clip. I'd like to say that a lot of people are kind of focused on martial law at this time. Now, it's been a theme that's been echoed, in my life around me from strange people, right? I'm going, well, where the heck did you get that thought? And they go, well, it's true. It's true. The U.S. government is coming in on Texas, and there is some kind of a thing coming up in a couple days, and who knows, the governments always do that. The United States government always does, trains, I hate to say it, they always do that. They do it in different degrees. They might do it more, but everybody gets a little bit upset. And they go, well, I heard this question twice lodged towards the Republic of Texas. Well, what's your plan in case they do come in? What's your plan in case they do come in? Well, there is no plan because, the Republic of Texas is a governmental organization that exists in an occupied territory. They don't have a standing army. We don't. We don't have a military. We haven't planned to counter anybody. We plan to get free. We work to get free. What do you work for? Let's hear Paul.
Chief Justice Paul Andrus, Houston County. This is the point where I'm going to make a lot of friends and a lot of enemies with everybody. Everybody wants to sit around and point fingers. One says it's the Constitution. One says it's the police officer, the thug. One says it's the congressman. Whoever you want to point the finger at, you're pointing in the wrong direction. Everything happens because you allowed it to happen. Nobody else is responsible for it. So here it is. The problem started whenever. The problem finishes now. Because everybody in this room, everybody around the country has an obligation to not only their fellow man, but themselves. So here's the challenge. What are you going to do starting tomorrow morning when you get out of bed? What positive motion? Yeah, well, you can do that too, but then remember the bathroom follows behind that. You have to make positive moves that are going to affect people. Okay? Lack of a better definition, I may have a new friend in Kirk County. I spent an hour and 30, an hour and 45 minutes in conversation yesterday. We agreed to agree, and we agreed to disagree on many, many things. One thing we agreed on, there are belligerents on both sides. Law enforcement and the people. There are people that claim they are Republic of Texas. They're no more of a thug than any one of the men in black that come after us. So, we're going to sit here, point fingers, name call, and, just, okay. No, we make positive steps. Everything that we have was an indoctrination. We learned every one of our steps that we are making every day. Okay, so how do you fix that? Time to relearn. Time to teach people around you. They're in error. Now, once you make it evident to them that they are in error, your obligation is complete, because it is their choice to correct their course or stay the course. You don't need to worry about them anymore after that. You pick the next person, next man, next woman. You make the next step. You plant the next seed. And you continue to move forward. There's no other way. The responsibility belongs with each and every one of us. Not what are you going to do? Not what are they going to do? Not what have they done? What step are you going to make each and every day that's going to be positive? Okay? I research. Somebody brings information to me, I challenge it. In the last year and a half, I've probably gone through 50,000 pages of documents, which 20,000 of them were misinformation. And then after I took and assimilated that and got it all together, then I started challenging people that anything I say is incorrect. Find me the point that brings it home. And when you bring me that point and show me the error of my way, I will cease what I'm doing immediately. In the last year, nobody's approached me and tried to correct me. So, again, pick your battle, but it's not a battle. You have to pick who you're going to try and educate, what steps you're going to make that are positive. Calling a guy a thug, calling him a criminal, guy threw me in jail because he's a dirtbag. No. Just like when you go into court, they did not convict you. You convicted yourself.
Did you get that? The you convicted yourself bit? Do you understand that? Well, I know it's a hard thing to think about, all the agreements that we've been put into and have been in. Well, we're working to restore a system, a republic, something that is bottoms up, that's going to make our world a better place. We're working really hard at it. You're invited to come. Go to thetexasrepublic.com. You can read all about all the information there. You can even get involved. As we talked about earlier, the Constitution Revision Committee, and I know my tongue keeps slipping, well, they could use a couple people because personally, and it doesn't matter what I think, what you think and what you work on. I guess that's kind of the crux of what Paul Andrews was saying. I know you can say it in a lot of different ways, but somebody that's inspired like Paul Andrews, and so he's a researcher. He researches the world we live in today. The corporate United States of America, how it operates, what makes it tick, and he pokes around. He says, yeah, that's real, that's not. I do broadcasting. I listen for people that are saying interesting things and try to fit them into what I find is interesting and important. I'm kind of like him. If I find out something's wrong, then I move on. But in all actuality, who you are and how you get yourself free is up to you. You can support people many different ways. Like Paul said, talking to people, it should be less of a fight. But then that's my opinion. You can have a different opinion. You can battle people and fight them over opinions and tell them that they're wrong and they're ugly and their mama sucks. No, just don't do that. Next event, Republic of Texas will be, drum roll please, as we bring up the calendar because I was unprepared. It will be April, no, it's May next month. It'll be May 9th. May 9th at Tomball, Texas. Never been to Tomball. Still haven't been to Houston. I guess we'll drive through. And, hey, I'm going to feel a little bit better instead of driving, an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes to McQueenie, Texas, which is a lovely little place, I might add. Should visit the Silver Eagle Tap House. No, sorry, you can't do that. They shut it down. Damn regulations. But go over to the VFW in Tomball, Texas. We'll see you there. Otherwise, you can join us next week right here on Republic of Texas Radio and FBG Live. Take care, guys. Love ya.
So here we are, so very We now join America's most popular show, already in progress. Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
You must listen. Listen. FBG Live.